Hi, I'm Yasmin Owusu, and this is my producer, Charlie Kesenek.
But I'm your husband, and you're using all my stuff right now. What are you talking about?
So anyway, I've been looking for a one-stop shop podcast for wellness, amateur sociology, psychology, pop culture, and whatever else sparks my interest. So I created one. We are limited to no lanes. We hit the gas and get into it. This is Peaked. Press play. Hi, welcome to Peak Podcast, Charlie.
Thank you. How's it
Welcome
going?
back in the house. It's good.
Back at my house.
It's good. You know, we both play tennis, so you know what we're coming up from under currently.
I feel fine. I don't
You
know
feel
about you.
good. Yeah, we had a little cafecito, so I think we're both
Helps.
feeling kind of okay from that.
Yes. The
Well,
much needed
you know,
cafecito.
We just came back from a trip too.
Marfa.
Much needed cafecito. Yes, and it sounded like you might have something on your mind
Or on my nerves.
or on your nerves. I don't know which it is.
I think I have something on my mind and on my nerves about Marfa. Like, I really like it there, but I also don't know. I'm unsure.
You have this like cunning look on your face, but
I vaguely feel like it's this amazing place, but then I also vaguely feel like I'm being tricked every time I go there.
well, I definitely have the thought like, is it Red Hook? Is it just
Yeah.
Red Hook, Brooklyn?
It's a lot like Red Hook, Brooklyn, for those
Yeah.
of you who know.
I mean, it feels like the way that Red Hook, if you don't know Red Hook, Brooklyn well or at all.
Well, we know Red Hook better than we know Marfa, I think.
Right.
So we can
I'll
speak to it.
say what Red Hook, Brooklyn is. I think a lot more people know what Marfa is maybe than know what Red Hook, Brooklyn is. But anyway, either way, if you don't know what it is, it's a little area in Brooklyn that's all the way by the water, pretty far from any subway. However, it kind of is, it used to be an old longshoreman, you know, Italian, Puerto Rican area. But now it's just really, it's hipster, but like hipsters who like to like build farms and like are maybe artsy, you know, same demographic as Marfa, funnily enough.
Very similar.
And everyone's kind of outposted there. And since it's hard to get to, it makes it this really insular little area. Both of us happened to work there. And for a time when we weren't dating, we lived there separately. And it has this gatekeepy quality to it where everyone's like, are you a real Red Hook person? Because like it's hard to get to. So like there's this feeling of like ownership of the few people who live there. It's also not a big area. Like Carroll Gardens and what's it called? Cobble Hill. Those are all like close areas in Brooklyn, but like it's just its own little like outpost. And Marfa feels similar to me where it's like
It's definitely an outpost.
because it's remote and hard to get to and small, it creates this kind of insular gatekeepy vibe, but it's really just a bunch of people from like Austin.
Yeah.
Like
Feels
who
like
outposted there. That's kind of what it
Austin
feels like to me, or at least hipsters from random places, maybe around Texas.
Yeah.
But it's a very kind of one type of human who seems to live there. You
There's
know?
like definitely a uniform. It's
yeah.
like a chore coat and like Carhartts and
Right.
like-
Maybe some little cowboy elements to it. Or
well,
whatever.
yeah, there's that for sure. I don't know. It seems like there are legitimately some cool artists there, and there are some legitimately
I'm sure.
uncool artists there. You know, I don't know. It seems like a lot to go live out there.
That's not an option for us.
Oh no. I guess I can't imagine who it's attracting exactly, because it's like, yeah, it seems like, I guess, yeah, that's what I think bothers me. It's like it seems like you have to want to be a little bit. You have to like want that gatekeeping thing. You want to be part of the gatekeeping to really want to go out there. I'm not saying everyone, obviously, but there is a vibe of that. It seems like it attracts the type of person that wants to gatekeep.
Right. It's almost like Austin has its like, you know, hipster kind of enclave out, like where we are in East Austin. Like it's, you know, it's its own little thing, and you could feel the gatekeepiness there, but it's like if you want to be even more gatekeepy than being in deep East Austin or deep South Austin, you go all the way out to Marfa. You know?
I think one of the things I like about Austin is I don't feel a lot of that too cool for school kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
I definitely feel that vibe when I go out there.
Not that anyone was rude. Everyone was like pretty chill
fine.
and like welcoming. I just there is that same thing that there was in Red Hook where people want to talk about Marfa a lot when you're in Marfa. And it's like, weird, you live here. Like,
yeah.
Seattle was a bit like that too when I lived there. Like, you would just pass people in coffee shops and they'd just be like, well, so like Seattle. And like, we're here. Why are we talking about it so much?
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of like kind of rivaling stickers everywhere. It's like, don't, Austin, my Marfa, don't Marfa, my Terralingua.
And then
are y'all okay? Like everyone's deeply unwell about this stuff.
And I will say also, like, there's probably a lot of the people who are being annoying are just the people who are visiting there. And like, oh, this is my 5th time. Like the guy who was like, we went to the same bar 2 nights in a row because I mean, literally there are like 3 bars in all of Marfa to begin with. So like your chances are 1 in 3 of going to that bar.
Yeah.
It's like, so we were talking about, oh yeah, we were here last night. And this guy goes, oh, yeah, it's funny that you guys were here last night too.
You went to the same place twice.
What?
I'm like, right. So it's
what
like
is funny
here,
about that?
Planet Marfa, Lost Horse, one of the 5 restaurants. I don't know. The odds are pretty good. Like, especially like we've been there a few times, right? So we've gone to all the places and we know which ones make good drinks. So you just go to the one that does. Right?
And to your point, or the point of like, it's not all like the bartender obviously lives there and she was awesome and super sweet and our dogs played and they were great.
Yeah, there's a corgi
maybe
there.
it's just like people coming in and bringing down the average. I wonder.
I don't know. I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I think people who live there have this bit of like ownership thing, which that's nice. It's nice that people who live there like it and they have a sense of community. But
that's cool.
I found that a little annoying when I lived in Red Hook, and I was kind of OG Red Hook. I did move kind of before the bigger surge, before like Fairway changed over and, Hometown and all the like big restaurants that are there now. Like Red Hook Tavern wasn't open. Hometown Barbecue wasn't open. So like there was no big like seaside crazy Disneyland when I lived there at all. Like I don't even think IKEA was open yet when I first moved there.
Wow.
So like
that is OG then.
Yeah, but there's OG, and they'll tell you who they are too, right? Like they were there when there's like wild packs of roving dogs.
Never
and
heard
like,
the end about the packs of dogs.
God, we keep having to hear about the feral dogs. I think I visited once when there were the feral dogs. Like I went to Ice House when I didn't live there. Probably, I think my friend was trying to score Coke. Anyway.
Red Hook would be the place.
Yeah, it really was. But anyway, so that's on your mind that you're not sure if you like Marfa.
I don't know. I love it. I love the desert. I love like some of the bars. I love some of the artwork that you see out there. Do I love it? I don't know. I love the Chihuahuan Desert. Like it's beautiful. The country around there is absolutely beautiful, and it smells great and it's fresh and it's like there's a whole thing. But
I think it's super nice. And if I lived, an hour from it, I'd probably visit a lot.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
7 hours adds a bit of pressure on it. And it's like, it's just a little guy, it's just a little guy with some things, it's not like this epic voyage. We went out there to see Stereolab. We went out there for a show and we took an extra day and just hung out. So we didn't have to do the 7-hour drive so back to back.
Yeah.
But I think all the times that we've been there, and I think it's 3 total, we've kind of had that feeling of like, okay, it's good. It's maybe not 7 hours of good. I mean, we have like all these little cute towns in hill country. Yeah. So like maybe if you live somewhere where it's like, if all we had was like Dallas, Fort Worth, or like you had to go to a huge city like Houston, maybe I would want to go there. But it's like we have little like Brunfels, you have Green, we have all these little Wimberley, we have all these hill country towns we could just check out and go to like 3 bars. Yeah. Right.
Last thing I'll say about it is, we went there to see Stereolab. And I think we went there to see Stereolab because we're like, it sounds cool to go see Stereolab in Marfa. And I'm like being self-aware here, being like, maybe I could have just seen Stereolab in Austin. It would have been great.
I think that I have a little old programming where when things like that would happen in Brooklyn, it would be a shit show and it would be no fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe if we go somewhere a little bit more remote, it won't be a shit show. It won't feel like a cattle call. And then also, it has been really hot here. I've been wanting fall. So I don't know. I have my own reasons. Like it's colder in the desert. Maybe Charlie just wanted to tell the story. That's on you.
That was nice though. The air was nice.
So maybe you should become one of these gatekeeping people if you thought it sounded so cool to say you're going to Marfa. I also wanted to like take a couple days and like get an Airbnb and like have an actual little vacay.
It was a good excuse.
We haven't since El Cuyo.
It was a good excuse to get out of the city.
Yeah.
For sure. It's just we don't need to go 7 hours every time we want to go out of the city.
Yeah, true. Anyway. So that's on your mind.
Do you have nerves or minds?
Your nerves up your butt. I do. I hope I can verbalize this with my tennis brain.
Let's go.
there's like you could just tell this is like a brain rot thing. Like I'm chronically online. But there's this type of commenter, and I know I've complained about it to you before.
Okay.
I'll just do an example rather than like try to call it something. I don't have a term coined. Maybe it's like some kind of performative outrage, something under that heading.
Yeah.
But it's very like self-involved, insular, performative outrage. So it's, for example, if someone was like, I really like listening to audiobooks. And then somebody is like, I'm deaf. So what am I supposed to do? So I don't know what that is. But that's an exaggeration, maybe, but also maybe not. But there's a lot of people who kind of have that sort of response, like where someone will post something, they're just like, oh, there's this great little store where they have like Black people hair products. And it's really great for African Americans and Black people and Caribbean people to like go there and find hair products. And someone's like, well, I'm Native American. So I guess don't go there. It's not for you. Like, I don't understand what that kind of comment is. It feels very low IQ. And
definitely.
I just don't really know what's happening there.
Everything does not have to be for everybody.
Everything is necessarily not for everybody, right? Like, I'm not going to start taking like male hormones I'm not getting into the area like of trans, do what you need to do for your health. But I just mean like, I'm not going to I don't know.
We don't
start
all
straight
need to,
razoring my face or something
we don't
because
all
everything
need
should
to
be for everyone.
Make ourselves less ourselves in order to like make things more equitable.
Right.
That's crazy.
You know where I got really great prescription glasses? Well, I don't need those because I'm blind. Like, whatever that is, that's definitely on my nerves. I don't know what the hell it is. And I'm on those comments like, I was going to say like white on rice, but then I thought maybe I think of something that's Black. Like
I'm
Black
not touching
on
that. I'm not touching this one.
Me.
Well.
All right. I think we can, let's get into the meat of this. Let's get it. So we've been watching, is it called Murdaugh?
Murdaugh. I think it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're watching.
There's like some, American family.
Scripted show about the Murdaugh family. Is that how you say their name?
Murdaugh from South Carolina.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like murder, but it's Murdaugh.
Conveniently.
Like it's this family from South Carolina. There was, a series of kind of true crime elements to it. I won't give everything away. I mean, I watched a documentary about them. They're really rich, like affluent, generational wealth family.
But also generational power. Right? Within
which,
their town.
That often comes
in their county or whatever.
Hand in hand.
Exactly.
So they're one of those families. And we had a lot of discussions just about, one of the sons ends up getting really drunk and riding it's on a speedboat, like a pontoon or something.
What? It's a boat. It was a speedboat, yeah.
Anyway, he's wasted and he's like gunning it and
with a bunch of friends.
And everyone's screaming at him to stop. And I guess this is like kind of common behavior for him and his family members to just get drunk and be reckless. And essentially, a girl, one of the teenage girls, goes overboard and dies. And it's kind of just watching how that unfolds, watching his dad kind of try to cover it up behind the scenes while he's also having all these financial problems, yet somehow refusing to sell anything of consequence to make that up. Instead, he seems to be scamming. He's a lawyer, so he seems to be scamming people out of their settlements and so forth. And he also has a pill addiction. We could go on.
Yeah.
So this, kind of tied into like other shows we've watched, like say Foxcatcher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people know that show.
What is the name of the guy? Right?
It's a movie, but there's
the
also
DuPont family.
DuPont
I forget
family.
his name, but
yeah,
chemical company, crazy person, super rich, grew up super rich, doesn't know how to act.
Had a bunch of. He wanted to be a wrestler, so he kind of started a wrestling camp at his household on his property.
Like Olympic wrestlers.
For Olympic wrestlers, and he was also a man of 50, I want to say. Or maybe more.
Oh, yeah.
And he would force them to wrestle with him and they would have to lose. And then he also was having his own older wrestling meets where people had to take a fall and pretend that he was pinning them. And
He's literally paying people to lose.
very poorly socialized man who just had too much money and too much access and too much loneliness. And so that's another example of this. And then, what was another one? Succession.
Yeah.
I guess we talked a little bit about Succession as well.
Totally.
But anyway, all of this kind of made us want to have a bit of a conversation about extreme wealth, and maybe along with that, with the fallout, the pitfalls, the greed factor of it all, just how it can be kind of detrimental to people's lives and their souls and their spirits, and then ultimately maybe all of ours.
Yeah.
Charlie, take it away.
Take it away. Yeah, I mean, I think greed is kind of like the ultimate rot of the soul. It's like,
Bars.
you know, I mean, I feel like I feel like we almost live in like a greed religion in our culture, and that's kind of like the central problem with that everything else is stemming out of, you know. I feel like, you know, greed is born of feeling singular, or, you know, being kind of lost in yourself. It's the ultimate ego trip. It's like, I have to get what's mine. It isolates you from any sense of collectivism, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lack of that feeling of collectivism is also what plays into this greed. And so I don't know, there's a cyclical thing that is going on in our culture.
Yeah, it gets a little bit chicken and egg, because I think a lot of greed and wealth hoarding, I mean, it sounds like a result of scarcity mindset, at least, if not scarcity in action. Or not, if not scarcity of resources, like measurable resources, it might be a scarcity of, in the case of someone like the Murdaugh kid or Foxcatcher guy, maybe a scarcity of human connection, a scarcity of like parental care.
Remember they named Affluenza. They were talking right, and like someone like literally tried to claim this as a psychological disorder in a court case.
Yes.
I mean, in a way, it is.
Kid did something. Maybe it had a hit and run, or I don't know, something like that. And they tried to claim that it was like a disease of being so affluent that they can't be expected to.
A legitimate psychological disorder. Well, I do think, I mean, sure, I can see an argument for that. I'm not saying that they should get a pass for anything for that, but there is a disorder that comes along with it. And I definitely think we need to diagnose people who have, I don't know.
Affluenza?
We need to diagnose people who can't stop amassing money as money hoarders. You know, they're not billionaires. They're wealth hoarders. They're hoarders of resources. They're like, I don't know.
I mean, what else can you call it when you have more money than you or your entire family could ever spend in all of their lifetimes? I mean, maybe in the case of someone like Elon Musk, who's trying to have as many kids as possible, we'll see. But I mean, it still seems like there's a lot of wealth there.
Doesn't seem like he wants much to do with his kids. He probably doesn't want them to get his money.
Depends on the one. Yeah, depends on the one, right? Well, does it?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I shouldn't speak. I don't know. But I don't hear a lot of good things.
I know there's one very specific one whose transition he wants nothing to do with, but I think the feeling is mutual in that case.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like you could call it anything else to have multiple billions of dollars and be trying to get more and still trying to cut corners and rip people off. For what is the anxiety there? Like what is the scarcity there? What's the there, you know?
Right.
But yeah, you know, we've talked about it a little bit on other podcasts that we've had together, but I do think there's always this element of antisocial mindset.
Yes.
So there's the scarcity factor, probably, yes. I mean, a void left by something. People don't tend to, you know, have these behaviors without there being some kind of deficit they're feeling at some point in life. And to want that much power and that much access and that much money, you probably at some point felt like you didn't have power or something, you know?
Yeah.
I know that I'm not like extremely like desirant to lord over a lot of people and have all the money in the entire world or more than anybody else combined.
Right.
That's a strange amount to want, right? You want more than like all the countries
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy that that's how it is. Like
it's
the
crazy
Bezoses
that, well, yeah, it's crazy that we look at those people like, oh man, that's awesome. It's like, or it's not we, but so many people in our culture look to that and they're like, oh, that's great. I should be like that. It's like,
I think that attitude, it seems to just escalate the more that this becomes how things are, or the more it actually reveals itself as how things are.
Yeah.
There's always been a bit of a monopoly, and there've always been these big families, you know, the Rockefellers who just like are crazy. They're 1%. Like there's a name for that for a reason. It's like a tiny amount of people who have this insane amount of wealth. Yeah. But I think that it's just becoming a little more prominent. I think our billionaires now are flashier and they're going to space and they're having big, crazy weddings, but they're like, you know, blown up collagen lip wife and stuff. Whereas I didn't know anything about the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds when I was a kid, right? No. I mean, people knew their names and they just were like, I don't know, they sounded like the Kennedys or something. You didn't know much about them. They weren't flashy necessarily. We didn't. Yeah. The wealth whispered a little bit more than it does now. In the age of Trump.
You know, like as recently as like, you know, so I graduated high school in 2006. Like, I feel like back then, if I was like going on about how wealthy families are taking over the country, people would have thought I was absolutely insane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. People would have been like, all right, buddy, conspiracy theorist 101 over here. We live in a democracy. It's like, but that shit was obviously going on back then. Now it's just like, now they don't hide it anymore, you know?
Yes. And it's not as subverted anymore.
Pretty creepy.
And I think that has escalated the attitude of like, well, awesome. Like people kind of, they want to get on a winning team. And I think the more they see that there's extreme winners and extreme losers, people want to hop on the winner boat.
That's a good point. That's a good or like an important aspect of it that I hadn't thought so much about. It's like, as the division gets bigger
and more apparent,
and more obvious, there are going to be more people who are just like so averse to being on the losing side, that they're going to, I don't know, bolster all the things that are preventing them from actually ever being on that winning team. But that is like a very knee-jerk response, and that is the response that the powers that be are kind of trying to program into you, I think.
There's a lot of feelings you can have, right? I think the bleeding hearts will feel more bleeding hearty. Maybe we fall into that category. And I think that the people who thought they had a fair shot when they kind of didn't, you know? Like, I mean, the 1% is the 1%. It doesn't seem to really move. And they seem to want to make it smaller and smaller and hoard and keep everyone out of it. It's a very, like, close the door behind you. Amount of people. They want to keep a certain amount of power for a certain amount of people and not much more, and are insidiously pulling strings to do so, right? Absolutely. So I think the more people become aware of how much you're kind of working from a subterranean podium when other people are starting like way ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
You can have one of two reactions. You can kind of be like, screw that, we need to even it out. Like, you know, this is whatever. Or you can kind of be like, well, I got to get ingratiated with those people then. Like, I want to be in there, which is maybe naive in a way, but I guess I kind of understand that mindset. But
yeah, I understand. I can see where it comes from for sure. One thing we were talking about having this conversation. One thing I was thinking about was like, because I mean, I definitely aspire to have money. You know, I aspire to do well. Yeah. So like, the questions that come up for me is like, how much is too much? Mm-hmm. and as things grow and build, and, you know, potentially thought experiment here, we were to get more and more wealthy, what is our responsibility? How do you handle the responsibility of divvying that money or hiring or starting companies to distribute that wealth? You know what I mean? Like, what is the level of responsibility that you have, and where does it start? You know, like, what's the number where, like, you know, where you have to really start? I don't know. I guess whatever I do, I'm going to want to be giving back, and I'm going to be wanting to act in the world and start companies that hopefully make the world a better place to live.
I mean, if you think about it Sorry, continue.
Well, I was just going to say, and I guess the top priority for me is like to just pay people really, really well. And I don't understand why, like, almost by accident, we don't have more people just doing that. Can't, like,
Greed.
Yeah, right. It's just it's so sad to me. Like, I don't know.
There has to be an element of just antisocial personality. Like, there has to be some element of people who are not, we laughed at this word before, but they're not humanists for whatever reason, right? Yeah. To be in the position of someone like Jeff Bezos and still kind of be screwing factory workers is just mind-blowing.
It's insane.
Like, docking people's checks because certain things it's crazy to me that you would be having those sorts of practices when you have an insane amount of money that you can never get rid of if you tried.
It's psychotic. I mean,
it's psychotic.
But so I guess, the other thing that always comes up in this conversation for me is the problem of publicly traded companies. It's like you literally have, once you're a publicly traded company, like, this is the problem with our stock market. It's like you have a responsibility to continually grow your company and keep
show shareholder
shareholder profits are supposed to keep going up. Your company has to keep going up. We can't run a country, much less a world, on the idea of infinite growth of companies, because
it shouldn't be the goal to continually raise your profit. It should be the goal to be a sustainable company that, is able to pay its bills, pay its employees, pay itself, and be fine. This idea that you constantly have to keep, cutting that margin of what goes out and keep margin, and all they're doing is paying bonuses. And so it's not like they're helping the companies stay afloat that way. It's just, that's why so many people have that, like, Arizona guy is amazing, because it's just like, he's kept the Arizona iced tea can the same price as long as he possibly can. And people ask why. And he's like, because it's enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's so mind-blowing to people that someone will be like, it's enough, and I can pay the bills, and I'm a very rich man. Yeah. And that's just such a foreign concept, right? But you were saying before how much money, or you were talking about if I were to get really rich, and I did want to touch on that, how much responsibility would you feel to help and to, well, you already do it with your taxes, right? And I don't really see you on one of those Reddit threads screaming about people's SNAP benefits and how they don't deserve them and they shouldn't they shouldn't buy Coke with them, or Coca-Cola, with them, or whatever the hell.
Coke.
I think you already listen, they're your SNAP benefits.
They probably should.
I'm not going to get into the minutia, but everyone needs a win. But I think already you have a sort of fiscally sustainable mindset. Right. And so that would probably just carry, right? Yeah. And there's a certain amount that if we had $1 million, right? I don't know how much insane charitable work I could do if I didn't plan on continually amassing more money, right? Because you buy one house, you buy a couple cars, and, you start to be a person who needs to generate money, especially to pay taxes and all that on that kind of property. Yeah. But like you do now, you do what you can in that situation, Yeah. Like, I would make sure if I had employees that I would pay them an equitable wage rate. A rage.
Well, what I was just going to say about that is, like, what if the responsibility, it just goes to show that it's obviously not, like, the idea is, if it's a publicly traded company, anyone can buy in, so everyone profits. It's like, that's obviously fucking bullshit. The stock market is being gerrymandered constantly by these massive hedge funds. So, like, so what if it wasn't like you have a responsibility to shareholders? What if it was, as your company grows, you have a responsibility to continually give people a raise? How about if we cap the...
Which people? Be careful there.
Your lowest, your cheapest, or whatever, cheapest labor possible. Like,
because that's
the
so
lowest,
often the problem is they're just making these profit margins to give themselves crazy bonuses and benefits.
Yeah. Why can't we have, if we can regulate and I don't know, police a company to make sure they're continually growing at all costs? Like, why can't we regulate them to give a certain percentage of the CEOs, like, not pay a CEO 2,000 times the salary of like or that's like probably low, right? I'm not good at math. 20,000 times the salary of the lowest, paid employee. Like, why can't we set a percentage there? Like, it's just obvious
because they don't want to.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like our government doesn't want to. But I always try to think about like, yeah, this is where I want to see. It pains me to not see more people that are wealthy making that choice, and falling into the trap of whatever it is, being competitive about who's making the most money with their wealthy friends or something.
There's a certain kind of person who amasses that amount of wealth. And I think that's why you see such a through line of how they behave once they get it, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there are, people who make a good amount of money, a few millions, who do not have that mindset and have been really philanthropic. You get your Ben and Jerry's, but along with your Ben and Jerry's, you get a whole lot of Elon Musks too.
I think I've also, I think the Darwin theory and the interpretation that it's like survival of the fittest and like cutthroat survival, that interpretation of the theory of evolution is one of the most damaging things.
It can be.
Because I think that I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure he even said like late in life that like it's survival of the most collaborative, like that's actually the species that are most collaborative with each other and most collaborative with interspecies, like other species are actually the ones that survive the most. And if we could, literally just start teaching it that way instead of teaching it as this idea of like, yeah, you have to be some psychopath to in order to thrive. It's like, and again, what's your idea of thrive, So
I think also, so survival of the fittest, I'm sure everyone understands what that is to some extent, but if we're actually talking about survival, are these people the fittest? They're ruining their own water systems. They're burning their own forests, which is how they breathe. They're not necessarily setting themselves up or anyone else to actually physically survive. And they're often not mentally healthy. They're not physically healthy. Foxcatcher guy, like he was super fit. Like, he looked like he was going to croak any minute. Right. And,
seriously.
We've all seen Elon Musk's torso. I don't know why he's getting
well,
such a hit
Zuckerberg
from me
does
right
jujitsu.
now.
So.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that face looks like it's getting all the vitamin D, sunlight, all the great things. It does not at all look like an orc who lives underground. But anyway, I digress. I think there is a bit of that wanting to be king of a flaming pile of garbage. And that to me doesn't sound like a very fit mindset to continue. If there is another iteration of this earth, it's going to be people who are planting and growing and trying to find ways to be sustainable and understand you can't piss in your own water supply and hope that you can just throw money in it and it'll give you clean water or whatever. I don't know what their plan is. We'll have to ask them one day. But it seems like dumb chimp stuff to me.
100%. That's exactly it. It's dumb chimp mentality, and it's being passed off to us as like, genius. It's like, no. Elon Musk is not a genius.
Right.
Like, he's a fucking con artist. We have a con artist as president, like the ultimate con artist. It's funny how things play out like that. It's like we always, you and I always say, it's like our collective ethos has been kind of like, con at all costs, greed at all costs. And so you end up with a president like Trump, because that's like the fact that he's even acceptable in public, like to anyone, is enough to show you that something is off with our collective compass,
Yeah, what we've learned, if anything, what we should have learned from history is that all Ponzi schemes go bust, all pyramid schemes collapse.
Exactly.
So if you're kind of putting a lot of stock in who can out scam who and who can get over on who, which is what essentially the stock market is, and it's just a bunch of really risky bettors and people betting against their own society, people betting against their own environment, that it will go bust. It will collapse like anything that is just like a big souffle waiting to, right? So what does that leave you if you've left all your morality behind for it. I don't know. Now I'm just like on a soapbox, but it's just something that I do think about a lot. I think about how short-sighted it is and how surprising it is to me that so many people are this short-sighted, but then it starts to make me believe maybe they're just nihilistic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like burn it all down and I'll go with it. I mean, I feel like that is a lot of people's mindset, whether they know it or not, unconsciously or not.
I think a lot of that comes from scientism and the kind of like the death of an afterlife and the death of a notion of anything beyond or I should say materialism. It comes from materialism, I think. You know, we've talked about this a bunch, but I think people believe that they're just worm food at the end of the day. And so they're like, get mine while I'm here and then get the fuck out. And that's, and so there's that mentality of just like, it opens the door for that because they're not, and I definitely am not saying like, you will be judged upon your death. It's like, I'm not interested in that kind of thing at all. That's not my vibe. But I do think that if you just believe that the world is some survival of the fittest, zero-sum game, you do what you can, you try to set up your future generations, but who really cares about them anyway? Like, really, it's just me. It's like the height of egotism, you know, like, and like the pinnacle of materialism is or the tip of the spear is of materialism is ego, you know. It's just like a fully egoistic idea of the world in which like you are this isolated being that didn't ask to be here, but now you're here and it's a game and you get what you can and while you're alive and it's a short life and then you die, you're a blip in the fucking radar anyway. It doesn't matter because the Big Bang happened and it's this huge thing and we've barely existed for much time. So it doesn't really matter if we continue to exist for any time. It's just
super fun game, bro.
Yeah.
Coming
like
to your game night.
I know.
Got it. No, I totally hear what you're saying. And it did make me think of, so when you think of people like the Murdaughs, I really don't know how to say their name, Murdaugh. Anyway, or the Murdaughs, whose succession is based on.
That's so funny.
There is, for a lot of the younger generations, like I can't really speak to the oldest, so you know, who the main patriarch, you know, I can't really speak to their young days because it's just not as well documented as the people that came afterwards. But there's this early insulation from consequences that can happen. You know, I don't know how many people have watched like Bush's, George Bush Jr.'s movie and, you know, whatever, about how he kind of ended up where he did and as he did. But there was a lot of that insulation from consequences that was happening, you know, DUIs and what have you. And the Murdaugh kid also. And I think in Succession that happens as well. We see that happen with Kendall where he, you know, has a car crash and you know, his dad kind of just cleans it up. And it doesn't seem like the first time that something like that has happened. And I think it can happen with these families really early because they're just sort of not tending to their kids. They're not their main priority. And
I think, and it's important to say that those cleanup jobs are always like, it's like, oh, to save my kid. It's like, no, it's just to save your family name and your own name. It's always, again,
and
it's
to
always
insulate yourself from insane lawsuits.
Well, exactly.
And huge payouts. But yeah, it's really more about them than the soul of the kid, which they've clearly not really tended to too well for it to get to the point that it did. Yeah. But I think a lot of that cleanup job, you know, nannies will deal with if you're misbehaving, they'll deal with it probably started really early. Yes. And the more that you are not acquainted with, you know, consequences, the more that you end up doing a lot of things that probably are traumatizingly bad. Yeah. And that trauma turns into you just identifying as a bad person, you know, and then you just start to perpetuate that behavior. And then if you ever become a really powerful, wealthy person yourself, I guess not in your own right, but if you end up getting the power, taking over the company, you're going to operate in that same morally bankrupt way. And I think that can start because you're almost roped into the insulation from your own consequences and never having to do anything that gives you self-esteem and you know, being able to behave really awfully and not being corrected. And then it kind of is a mirror that just reflects back on you at some point. And you either decide to fully identify with it or radically change it, which is hard to do, especially when you get to a certain age.
Yeah.
Especially when you have no consequences and you have nothing really compelling you to radically change it.
Yes. And what that makes me think of is like, I think it's obvious from the fact that, you know, kids like that are often raised by nannies. Like, that's the obvious sign, like, okay, this kid isn't loved, you know, and they don't feel fully loved. It's like they want more time from their parents. But when you really think about like what love, especially as a parent, not that we're parents, but I've observed,
at my dog and
he looks so cute right now. I wish we could get a picture. Anyway, what love really is, you know, to some extent is teaching your child when something is wrong. Also, that's a big part of what love is, you know? And if you're never doing that, if you're never correcting your child, you know, you're constantly signaling to them that you don't really care.
Well,
if they act
it is
well.
Carelessness.
Yeah.
It is a lack of care.
It's literally lack of care.
It is the short-sightedness we were talking about that then you see later in life, right? Recklessness, short-sightedness.
So then there's like this double lack of knowing boundaries while also not feeling loved, which is just like, this is a recipe for
disaster,
for like self-destruction and taking people down with you, you know,
just reckless abandon, essentially.
Exactly. Nihilism, like you said.
Nihilism. Yeah,
absolutely. Damn.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these very rich kids who have been insulated from consequences their whole lives, they probably have a lot of trauma, you know, because they've gotten themselves in situations they weren't properly, I don't want to give the affluenza thing, but they weren't taught right from wrong, and nobody took the time to mold them, to form them in any way. Nobody did, right? So they just were, you know, figuring it out. And I think from the lens that they have so much access, they have so much of everything that you can kind of just go the way of like, I just do whatever I want, I get whatever I want, and I don't have to listen to a nanny, let alone anyone else. And that's not preparing them for life, for what can come up, for the endless variables that you really need to know how to navigate. And if no one is ever ensuring that you know how to navigate them, that is really dangerous, you know? And also creating that isolated, nihilistic, lonely, you know, mindset. It's really important to be properly socialized. And I think a lot of them are really isolated and they don't know how to relate to other people.
Well, I was going to say, it prepares them, you to be completely antisocial.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's a horrible feeling. You know?
Is.
So then they're not only isolated from their parents, who they want love from more than anyone, they go about acting in the world and they don't understand why they're not getting good responses from people.
Right? Like the DuPont guy, for example, there was like a part of the documentary before we saw the movie, we saw a documentary about him where they talked about how his mom had been paying this kid to hang out with him. Because by this point, you know, this is like when he's a preteen, he's already so poorly socialized. I mean, he's just kind of left in this big mansion by himself and just not really socialized with other kids at all. And he has become weird. And, you know, when he actually does end up going to school and whatever, nobody really wants to hang out with this kid because he just never has been socialized. And so his mom's been paying this kid. He finds out about it, and just the humiliation that comes along with that was really crushing. And so later in life, he continues that transactional relationship where he pays people essentially to live on his property, but then he thinks he owns them and he thinks he can go to their house any time of day. And that culminates how it culminates. If you want to watch Foxcatcher or anything about, I forget what his first name is, but if you look up DuPont Foxcatcher, you'll find it.
If you ever think you're getting a free ride, like with someone who has a lot of money, you are not. There is no way. You need to fucking get out of that situation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people who have a lot of money can't help you and you can't foster relationships with them, but you better be careful. If someone is asking you to move onto their property or anything like that, you should probably run for the hills.
Yeah, there's going to be this disparity that it could get muddy. I mean, I've had a friend who had a lot of money just offer me to live in their apartment that they're parents had bought or whatever and just not pay rent. And just the fact, if they had asked me to pay rent, I would have felt better about it. But the don't pay rent thing, I'm like, it just feels like, well, now maybe I'm responsible to entertain you. I mean, what is your reason for, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I'm always a little bit suspicious of that. So I didn't do it. And can you imagine living rent free in New York City on 7th Avenue and Park Slope?
Oh my
that
God.
could have been me.
Yeah.
But then I just felt like, will I come home from work and feel like I have to just sit in the living room and talk to this person if I don't feel like it?
There's no free ride. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no free ride.
And then, like, I mean, I have some experience teaching, like, billionaire with a B kids, like kids of billionaires. I had a couple experiences. And, I think, it's having money does not make the kid troubled. What I see is the kids who, like, I meet their parents and their parents are involved and they ask questions. It doesn't matter how wealthy they are. The kid's probably fine.
Yeah.
If I never meet the parents and I only interact with the nannies and the nannies are just like, you can tell they basically work for the kid. It's like, these are not happy children. Like,
no.
They are not happy. They're not having fun. It's not a good thing. It's really awful.
It's not. It's really carcinogenic.
I feel bad for those kids.
Yeah.
It's important but again, this is what our culture, our culture largely needs to examine that. It needs to understand that. And I feel like we keep seeing documentaries like this. We keep seeing dramatizations of this.
Yeah.
It's like the platitude of like, money doesn't make you happy. Like, that falls on deaf ears. I don't know. Like, we need a better way of
We need to be saying, like,
teaching
what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, when you hear stories like that crazy story where was it the Murdaughs with the kidnapping and they didn't want to pay a ransom for this kid? No.
I forget what that one was.
That was the Gettys.
Oh, yep. That was
so
with
the Getty
Gettys,
family.
Yeah. Oh my
one
God,
of I think it was
that's an oil company.
A nephew or something was kidnapped in Italy, and this billionaire refused to pay this ransom, and this guy was beaten, traumatized in a cave. I mean,
lost an ear, right?
Yeah, and he just never was the same after it.
You don't say.
And ultimately passed away. I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing, but like,
because it's just
what's going on there?
It's absurd.
Right? Yeah. And you just do keep hearing these like kind of tragic tales of these super affluent families, and you also see how it perpetuates onto all of us as a society in a way, just because of how they have such a controlling effect on our economy.
They own our media companies. Yeah. It's interesting.
I'm running out of like gas as I'm talking about it because it's just like it's an exhausting concept. Ultimately.
Is. But yeah, I think it all just stems from a flawed perception of what's important, And I don't even mean that in like your family and love. It's like you have to see the connectedness of things,
Right.
Just fundamentally, you don't have to go give everyone a hug on the street. That's like why when it's like the whole like everything is love, like I have a hard time with that verbiage of it. Like, just you don't need to go give hugs. You need to like see that everything is connected. You need to see that you're not just an ego entity. You are like a part of a fabric of reality.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's
and
like a chain. We're like a chain reaction. Like we all.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All of our behavior, all of what we prioritize and how we collaborate with each other, it has effect on the whole.
Butterfly effect
Yes.
style. Yeah. We all have that power, and that it's both empowering and it's humbling. Empowering. It gives you meaning.
Yeah.
And it makes you not feel alone anymore.
Yes.
It's like these are the things that people feel powerless, so they cling to power. They feel isolated, so they feel alone. They feel like they don't have any meaning in their lives. They don't understand why we're here, what we're doing. So those are the things that lead directly to an empty desire for for just
control of some sort.
A fucking number in your bank account, you know?
Yeah. People seem to crave a really unhealthy, out of whack amount of control. And I think that's essentially what power is at the end of the day. It's like you get yourself in a position where you can control most things.
Right.
Craving that level of control is dysfunctional ultimately, because you will never have it.
Yeah.
The level of control you're craving is not possible.
Right.
You're as susceptible to a natural disaster as the next person. I mean, maybe not the elements or whatever, but if, you know, things converge and we blow up the whole world, I think what they think you're going to go to Mars. As I'm saying it, I'm like, maybe
There's
they do
one
have
of them.
plans.
There's one of them who's
but
got
what
a
are they going to
plan.
go do up there?
My
Who are they
God.
going to control up there?
The best possible scenario of living on Mars still looks like a shithole. It's like
complete hellhole
the
to live
worst
on.
place on Earth.
It's terrible atmosphere. It's freezing cold. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Seriously.
Good luck with that, I guess. It's not going to help you with your isolation feelings.
Nope. Yeah, exactly. The old triple them. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. We all know with our own, everyone has this feeling where they want control. They don't like feeling out of control.
Yeah.
We all know people who maybe it's a little bit ramped up, and you can see that it really does come from, you know, this fear-based scarcity mindset.
Absolutely.
And I think it's rich me giving advice. I struggle with the same things everyone else does.
Of course.
But I can tell myself this as much as anyone else. I think the best antidote to that feeling of lack of control is trying to combine your resources and combine your wisdom and combine your efforts with other people, and just seeing that bear fruit and finding more of a trust and collaboration.
Yes.
And taking yourself out of that mindset where like everything is a threat.
Yes.
Because there's no veracity to that, you know. I don't live in a world where everything is a threat. It's generally not the case. I mean, our honor system works pretty well most of the time.
Seriously.
So I think the more that you just like get out of your house, I mean, I don't want to say touch grass, but the more you just like get out of your head, get out of your house, and don't isolate with your crazy thoughts, the better it usually goes. And
yeah, like, I mean, you know, obviously at this stage, you know, most people we interact with, we don't know, because we like, especially living in a city, it's like so many impressions and so many people that you're seeing all the time. And so for the most part, it's all neutral, you know, you don't really interact super positively or super negatively with anyone. Mm-hmm. So that basically gives you a glass half empty, glass half full opportunity here. You could think that everyone is plotting to take away from you. My enemies are coming for, you know, like you could think that way, or you could think that like these are all people who could potentially help me if I was in trouble. And honestly, you see more
wouldn't seek to harm me,
at least. But like honestly, you see more opportunities. You see more examples of people just helping each other in neutral scenarios. More examples of people stopping to help you if you got a flat tire. Yeah. Or whatever, picking someone up if they fell down. You know, like you see more of that. So much more of that than you see people like robbing and fucking stealing anymore.
Agreed.
Thank God.
I consider myself a fairly skeptical person. I have my amount of hypervigilance, but I, you know, where I might not think everybody is like dying to help everyone all the time, maybe so, but you know, whatever. Yeah. It's not necessarily my worldview that everyone's like trying to bend over backwards to help any more than I am. But I think most people just want things to go smoothly. And, you know, we're all on the road together. Most of us are not just swerving into each other's cars on purpose.
It's a lot of collaboration there, yeah.
Texas is a bit of that. But anyway, there's some bad driving. But I think there are so many ways people could be harmful or disruptive. And for the most part, we go through our day and that doesn't happen, right? I think for the most part, we all seem to find some way to just make it all work where we can line up for a coffee and nobody's just like, screw all these people, I'm going in front. Like there are so many little moments of honor system that you can experience if you choose to pay attention to them day to day. I mean, everyone who's listening, no one robbed you today. Yeah. Like probably.
maybe one
I mean,
person
except for
to
the
help out.
government.
Yeah, except for these fucking
Except for
crazy
the largest
billionaires who
entity in our world.
still want more.
And that's a good full circle.
Yeah, totally.
But that's funny when you're talking about the enemies or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like related but unrelated. It's always a really funny thing to me in the spiritual community. Like when I do see these like reels or like I listen to my YouTube things about spiritual stuff, like a big red flag for me is if they start talking about like, and certain entities have been converging against you and, people have not believed in you. It's very like, that does not feel like spiritually progressive to me at all,
so
to be thinking
funny.
about your enemies and this and that. Like
That's crazy.
It's very egotistical to think that you have enemies. Like the word enemies is so dramatic and crazy. And you'd be surprised how many
I would not.
Deeply spiritual warriors or whatever, like are constantly
spiritual.
just trying to feed into people's fears about people like pulling strings behind them and just being like, everyone was your naysayer and you're coming to the front and you will be listened to. It sounds very Facebook insanity to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is like...
That'll make me turn off a spiritual video real quick. If you mention my enemies or the, energies or sources converging, I'm like, all right.
That's Timu spirituality right there. That's like... You got to spin the wheel to figure out.
Soshian spirituality.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way to wrap up.
Sounds good. This was great talking to you.
Yeah. I don't know what we've solved, if anything.
I mean, how are we going to solve it? I don't know. People got to wake up.
Yeah. And is there some way we could wake up?
We could always do better work. Yeah, of course.
Is there some action that we can, not us, just you, me and Charlie, but we obviously are not the billionaires. We can't really necessarily dictate how they raise their kids or live their lives. But I'm just always, if I'm going to,
soapbox.
Are we soapboxing? And talk about something. I'm like, well, what could we be doing as a society? And I think one thing that you mentioned is just the lauding of it and the wanting to emulate that. I think maybe for my part, I don't know that I care to emulate someone like Jeff Bezos necessarily, just because I would love to have a fraction of his money. I would never let myself have the amount of money he has, but just not ascribing positive projections just because someone is able to amass that amount of money. I think we could really look at their lives, really look how they've conducted themselves, really look how they seem like day to day. And a lot of the time make the estimation it's not going well. Yeah. And if you're in the wrong mindset, it doesn't matter what you have or where you are. It's not a good place to be. Like we always talk, Charlie and I like to meditate, and within that practice, you learn that, like I have a meditation where I'll think that I'm like, in a place that I would really like to be environmentally, right? Like like maybe in a ski lodge or whatever. And then, you start to realize if I can't access that feeling without actually being there, how much could I really expect to enjoy it if I were there, right? Yes. I think every feeling is accessible just as you are. Yeah. Nothing external needs to validate, or nothing external creates your ability to feel good or feel bad. Yes. You only have to develop that ability to access, good or peaceful or calming, nervous system regulated feelings. And if you're not able to do that now, I promise you're not going to be able to do it there. So you're just going to have billions of dollars and still have the same internal hell. And I think we just need to work on our ability to internally regulate. Yeah. And then hopefully if you ever do get a good, crazy amount of money, you can really enjoy it. Charlie and I love to see people who have a lot of money, but that really enjoy their money. I love it.
Oh, it's great.
I love watching that.
And those people are always generous. Yeah. There's no way you're happy unless you're able to be generous with your wealth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if you're unhappy, you're J-Lo running around snatching people's tips. That makes me laugh so much
because it sounds crazy. It's like a cartoon
big
villain.
Tips, and J-Lo's going behind the scenes snatching them back.
She's like fucking Cruella DeVille. Like,
how miserable are you? Like, no wonder you're gonna be married like the 62nd time and still be miserable. Why? Because she cannot access internally a peaceful mindset. No, so she needs to go snatch a waitress's tips.
She's got to make coats out of puppies. And, I don't know.
Jenny from Hades.
Jenny.
Anyway. Thanks for
Don't
coming
be like
on,
Jenny.
Charlie.
You're welcome.
We were
Thanks
tired,
for talking to me.
You know, there was some rambling that occurred on my end. You kept it together, and I appreciate it. That's why sometimes it's really good to have someone to bounce off of.
Buy a thread.
Yeah.
I tried. I don't know. We'll see. Wow. We'll watch the tape.
Thank you, Thread.
Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right.
Peak Podcast. All right.
Anytime. Peaked out.